Hello everyone and welcome back to Microtech Knives. We appreciate everyone that watched the glass break test and those that follow the channel. What we're going to do today is we're going to do a torture test. So it'll be a torture test from the manufacturer, and at the end of all the testing, if these survive, we will have these on the Microtech gear on the Seconds website. I don't know, maybe we'll sign them or something like that. These are the Scarab IIs, guys. These have the dual fuel drivetrain, and I have two different models here. One is going to be the plain edge, and one will be a partial serrate for the different testing that we're going to be doing. Unfortunately, these do not have the serial numbers on them, like your Scarab IIs that are coming out now, and so you will not have a serial number, but maybe I'll put a mark on it with a marker or something so you'll know it's the same knives that we started with. So these are fresh off the press. We're going to do things like sharpness test. We actually got one of the best certified sharpness scales. It's the PT50A. We'll start off with that. We'll shave some paper. We'll see where we're at on the sharpness scale, and then we'll start doing some destructive testing. One thing I need for you guys to keep in mind is that a lot of the tests that we're going to subject these knives to are probably going to be impractical and probably not even probable for most people. I mean, most people are not, driving their pocket knives into a solid wood piece of table or any type of media like that, but we just want to show how strong that lockup mechanism is. That is the only reason why we do what we call the nail test. And one of these might end up with a broken tip because we're going to be doing some pry tests, which is something that we never recommend you doing on any knife. Knives are not meant for prying. Pry bars are meant for prying. So let's go ahead and get started with the sharpness test. Now, before we get started, please keep in mind that every one of the Microtechs that are made are sharpened by hand by an individual. We don't use any type of robotics or anything else. So there can be a variation between sharpeners, between, let's say, this knife and this knife. We haven't tested them. I have no idea. Now, the way that the sharpness tester works is you actually have a thin wire that comes from the factory that has a spool underneath it, and what it's going to measure is the gram force that it takes to cut that wire. You have a magnetic fulcrum here, and this is actually where the knife blade will go to pivot off of. And what I see quite often are people using these sharpness testers wrong. They just snap it. The entire process should take somewhere between 4 to 6 seconds, and you should be able to read the number. Now, right now it shows 355. If I put more pressure on it, you can see we can make that number go up higher. And so what it's doing is it's just measuring the maximum amount of force, downforce, that it takes to break that wire. So I'm going to reset that to 0. I can tell you that according to the sharpness scale, which will give you a close-up of this in just a moment, anything that is 400 or greater is in need of sharpening, or it needs maintenance. Typically, you want to see something in the 300 range or lower. And when you get down into the 100, you're looking at a utility razor blade. A double-edged razor blade is going to be below 100. So that's kind of the scale, and like I said, I'll show you a close-up of that. So we're going to get started with the first one. This is the plain edge, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the blade tip here, no pressure on the wire yet. We are at 0, and we're slowly going to start applying downforce until we see it register on the number scale there. I would hope we would see something less than 400. They said you should almost be able to individually count, look at that, 278, so less than 300. So if we look on the scale at 278, we are in the new high-end cutlery edge. That's about where it's at, because that starts at about the 250 range. So what I'm going to need to do is reset this, and I'm going to need to get a new spool of wire in here. So what I'm going to do is remove the old wire. I'm going to release this side here so that we can pull the new wire in. Make sure it gets around the brass grommet here into the slot. Actually, a little harder to do than you realize. And then we're going to tighten this down. So that should be set for the next one. So we're going to re-tear that out, and what we'll do now is we'll check this knife. The other one was 278, And this is the part serrate, and we're not going to be on the serrated edge. We're actually going to be on the cutting surface of the edge here. So here we go. Let me go ahead and reset this. I think I already started to touch it. All right, there we go. Yeah, that's just me applying downforce here. Nice and slowly, 4 to 6 seconds. And we are at 250 on that one. So that is going to be the part serrate. So both of these are well within that sharpness range of where they need to be. And this is a way to measure it. Now, you know, the thing about using a piece of paper, there is kind of an art to cutting paper. But just so you guys can see, this is just a sheet of printer paper, nothing crazy here. With the plain edge, we have no problem just shaving edges with that 278. Now we're going to do the exact same thing with the edge of the part serrated. We'll see if it's just as sharp. This one measured 250, so let's see if we can shave that. We can, no problem. Now let's see if we can do the serrated portion of it, and let's see if it cuts. It does. It's more of a rip, but you got to think about how these teeth are. So I think it would actually cut better if you did this along the edge of the teeth. You see that, guys? Just staying on here on the teeth. It's tough. It really is, because it is a serrated edge for a reason. And so when you're cutting rope or anything like that, you're relying solely on the edge, whereas this is going to have more of a ripping feature. So, you know, I think an interesting thing since we're here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this sharpness tester back in view. It was somewhere around here, and I'm actually going to test the serrated part. I'd like to see, because I don't think that's going to be near as sharp as an actual edge itself. And that's solely because of how it's done. So let me do this. Okay, so we have the wire there. I've got this set up. I'm going to move this out just a little bit so we can get on that serrated part. And we're going to be checking the serrated portion of the blade, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a number in the close to 400 range. So here we go. Maybe not. Maybe it's in the threes. Nice and slowly, 4 to 6. Wow, look at that, 134. Now that's really low. That's really surprising. Let's try it again just to make sure we didn't have an anomaly there. We want to do this as fairly as possible. So let's do it again. We're going to reset that to tear. And we're on the serrated portion. Here we go. Let's see if we get that again, something in the ones. Look at that. So the part serrated, the serrated portion, is actually coming out sharper than actually a plain edge. And I actually have knives where this is just incredibly sharp. And I think, a lot of people, they tend to like the plain edge because they can sharpen the entire length. This really doesn't need any maintenance. I mean, over years, this will remain sharp. So very, very interesting results on that. But either way, you guys saw it here. There's no way we can manipulate this test. So let's go ahead and start with some destructive testing. So before we get started with the actual cutting, let's go ahead and test the knives out a couple times just to make sure. All right, so full functioning Scarab IIs. And guys, let's think about why we actually carry a knife, right? It's for cutting things throughout the day, whether it's boxes or you're cutting your envelopes. So I have some materials here that we're going to cut. This is just some foam board. And what we're going to do with the plain edge here, I'm just going to see if we can slice some pieces off like this. Pretty simple, clean cut. I am cutting on wood so I don't mess up this nice table here. We'll drag the tip across like that. We'll cut off another corner here into the wood, and nice, smooth, clean cut. Same thing here. This is with the full serrated, but guys, this is nothing to cut, right? It's just something to show you guys. So next up is hemp rope. This is basically a 3-layer. If I kind of unwind it, you can see that. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to press straight into it and just kind of cut it like this in little sections. And that's not an issue with the plain edge. And then we'll try it on the part serrated. We're still on the plain edge portion of it. And then I'm not going to be able to get the angle to cut that with the serration, so what we're going to do now is, a lot of people will cut rope like this, and so we'll try that next. So I'm just going to hold it right here so the camera can see it, and here we go, just like that, straight through, no issues. And then we'll try it with the serrated portion. I'm on the serrated portion. This might grab and rip, just like that. I could feel it grabbing inside of it. So pretty easy to do with this 3-layer hemp rope, which is not too difficult. But if you get into actual climbing rope, this is going to have a mantle over a core. I don't know if this is a 13 weave or what, but this is actual climbing rope. This is actually going to be a dynamic line. There's a difference between dynamic and static. Static line has no stretch, whereas dynamic line does. So this is actually for rock climbing. Let's see if we could cut rock climbing rope. There it is. And so you guys can see this core that I was talking about. You can see how many different weaves it has on it with that on the inside. And it actually has all the safety rating numbers inside of here. So that was pretty easy. Let's go ahead and do a cut test on this with the plain edge. Ready? And here we go. No issues. Now we're going to use the part serrated, and we'll kind of do both in the cutting that. It's pretty easy, guys, just like this. I want all the cameras to be able to see it. Get nice, smooth cuts. Now, let's go ahead and pull it this way. This might grab a lot. We'll see. Yeah, it grabs in pretty hard. Another thing that works really well is if I have something that's static like this and you're cutting across it and using more of a sawing motion, I might have to have some assistance with that. But if somebody was holding this side and I was just raking it across, I think the serrated would actually cut a lot faster than a plain edge. Now, next is a piece of leather, and this is actually a pretty thick piece of leather, guys. We'll just see if we can cut some pieces off of this. We'll go with the plain edge. Yeah, look at that. Nice, clean, smooth cut on that. And then we will try it with the other one. Try to make a turn with it and see what happens. There we go, just like that. So yeah, this leather is not difficult at all to cut through. So these are things that you would do every day, things that you have to cut throughout the day. I don't know how anybody makes it without a pocket knife. It seems like I'm always cutting stuff. But now we'll get into more of the destructive part of it, where we'll start doing some drop tests just to make sure that the mechanism works well. Of course, this is not going to hurt the mechanism at all. And either of these two knives, and I will use safety gloves later, these are not going to have any issues. And like I said, we will hammer them through there later, but let's just go ahead and pull this out. No issues. No issues at all. So before I make a mess in the studio here, let's go ahead and go out to the shop area. So we've done the sharpness test, and what we want to do now is real world scenario, things that happen. But before we get started with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a gold Sharpie, and we're going to go ahead and mark these. That way, when we do put them on the site, you'll know that you're getting them. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to do RH just like that for my name, Ray Helms. And then that is one. And then this is the other. Just like that. Looks like a number sign, but it's RH. So that way you guys know that we are starting with the same tests and finishing with the same knives that we started with. I don't know if they'll survive. I honestly don't know that. So what I'm going to do is real world scenario. You're carrying your pocket knife with you. You're getting in a forklift and it falls, or it falls. So just a standard little drop test. Let's check and see. Yep, we're good. Let's try it again. 1 and 2. And they are hitting on the concrete floor. We have no padding down or anything else. So these were pretty much unscathed from the drop test. Other than a little bit of, nicks on the sides, they really have no damage to them. They work perfectly. So let's pretend that you dropped it getting into your forklift and you ran over it. And guys, I don't know how this is going to turn out. And since we are going to be selling these afterwards, I think it's not a good idea to run over the pocket clip because we want you guys to have a functioning pocket clip. So, and like I said, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but we're going to place one right here. And because you're counterbalancing all that, I'll do the other one right here like this. That way we can avoid hitting the pocket clips. And let's just see how this does. Safety first, right? All right. All right, guys, ready if you are. Oh, that's crunching back there. I heard that. That was some weight. Let's go back. You know what? Let's do it again. That was front and rear tires. This is the moment of truth. This one made a crunching noise. I don't know if it was the concrete or not. I'm just going to pick it straight up. Let you guys see if there's any damage. Yeah, we've got a little bit of damage right here, but let's see. No problem at all. You guys can see that it did take some of the finish off, but still usable. Not seeing any deformation or anything from the chassis. Let's check the front one. Here's the front one. Not as bad on that one. And this is going to be the plain edge one. Works perfectly. So, even if you were dropping it in the office or dropping it out in the shop and, you happen to run over it with your vehicle, I think it's going to be okay. So, the bad thing about using vehicles is that tire just kind of conforms or wraps around the chassis itself, and I don't think it's putting the pressure that you're going to get out of these hard rubber tires on this concrete floor. So I've got all kinds of things here in the shop here that I can use. I've got a scissor lift. So what I can do is let me pull this out and we'll drop it from varying heights. See if it still runs. I know that it is possible, depending on how something's dropped, where it could release the latch and it could come out. It's not that big of a deal. I don't know. I haven't done it on the Scarab IIs, but I know from years past, just doing some of these tests, that sometimes when they do get dropped, depending on how they hit, the lock can disengage. These are fine though, no issues. So let me go ahead and get the man lift up, the scissor lift. Let's drop these things. So we are not going to be in a harness because I'm not going to be stepping on any rails or anything else. So we are complying with all the OSHA requirements on this. But this is a pretty good height here, and I'll have to be going in and out of this because I'm going to drop it from varying heights. I'm not going to, you know what? Let's go ahead and take it to the top. Why not? And let's see what we can do. Here we go. It's got to reset. Hold on. All right, so I think I'm pretty clear here. You know what, I am going to move this forward just a little bit. Even at this extension, this should be okay. All right, so this is a pretty good height, guys. Here we go. This is going to be the partial serrate first, clear below. Here we go. This is going to be the full serrate. And here we go. All right, so I'm not going to be able to lower the scissor because that will actually crush that knife because it's in the scissor mechanism. So I'm going to have my cameraman, while he's on camera now, so this is one continuous shot. If you'll walk up, remove that knife, and just place it on the floor directly beside the other one. Perfect. And then now I can lower. All right. I'm interested. This is a pretty tall height to be dropping things from, but it happens, you know. Moving around, scissor, whatever. All right. Moment of truth. we'll go with this one first. And second one. As far as damage, guys, you can see this one was from the forklift. Do have a little bit of mark right there where the glass break is. Everything's still intact. Did take a pretty good impact on this backside here. But yeah, survived the drop test. Let's find out something else we can do. So it is time for the infamous nail test. So we have some dunnage here. We didn't buy this. This is stuff that's actually from shipping crates. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna brace this. I've got a hammer here, and I am gonna do the nail test on these two Scarabs just to see if they'll work. But everyday task, I don't like tassels on my glove here, so I am going to go ahead and cut these off. This is what we really use knives for, right? All right, so let me go ahead and put that away. I definitely don't need to cut myself. And here we go. This is the partial serrated model. And I don't recommend you do this with your knife, but we want to do it. Okay, so there's that one. This was a fresh piece of wood. Let's see if we can actually split this piece of wood using both of these. Maybe. Here we go. Yeah, so that actually split it. It actually took a lot of the pressure off of it. There's that one. I'm going to throw that down. And this one. All right. I think we're good. So one of the other tests, especially with the Scarabs that have the fluting on the blades, is we have the fluting on the blades and we also have the two exit tracks here. I think one of the things about that is that these will fire underwater. Let's go ahead and test that. And we have a bucket of water here. It is clean water. And what I'm going to do is completely submerge the knife. In full disclosure, I am going to have to oil them afterwards because we're introducing all of this water into them. And so we want to make sure that you guys can see this. So here we go. I think there's enough room for clearance. Yeah, there'll be enough room. So this is the Scarab partial serrate. I'm going to go ahead and submerge it completely. All right, here we go. So it is completely under the water. And it did not fire all the way. There it goes, that one did. Let's try it again. And it did. So that actually worked on tries 2 and 3. We're not gonna fabricate the test. It is what it is, guys. Maybe there was air in there, I don't know. Here we go. This is the plain edge. Yeah, because I can see all the bubbles. So this one right here is not retracting all the way when we put it in the water there. So maybe this needs some oil on it or something, but like I said, the new ones will absolutely do it. But just with the drop test, I'm seeing that it is not retracting all of the way, and maybe it just needs some oil. Out of the water, it's fine. A little sluggish, but it's fine. All right, let's figure out what we can do next. So I didn't add any oil. These are right out of the bucket, but let's go ahead and split this. This is the same log. We're going to baton off the back of this blade. This should be pretty easy to split because we had already driven the knives in there, but we're going to go through this knot right here. Let's see if we can split that knot, or at least it'll turn and go around it. Yep, it did. Look at that. The knife actually turned and went around it. And that's split. That's with the partial serrate. Let me take this one here. I'm going to at least get it started. We'll go right dead middle with the plain edge. Let me do this to get it started. Wow. You guys saw. What is that? Termite infested wood? All right, here we go. And that's it. Now, anytime you use an out the front, make sure you're getting the debris material that is in here that could possibly get into the, what some people might call blood grooves. Make sure that you're getting that out, because you don't want to suck that stuff up into the action. That is not going to do you any justice. Yeah, see, there's a wood chip right here. I do want to get that out because you don't want to suck that up into the action. You see that? Because if that gets behind the lock, that could cause an issue. Like I said, no oil, no anything. Yeah, we're good. This was straight out of the water, straight into splitting those, and we are good to go. So I've got to come up with something else to do. Let's see what we can find next. So I'm back in the office now, and what I did do was just spray a little bit of rim oil in there, and like I said, it's what we recommend. Just a little bit of rim oil like this. I didn't spray much at all, but we needed to get some lubrication in there because there was no lubrication after the water. One of the bad things about it though, and you guys can see this, is when I rub the blade, you guys can see what's left of my signature here. And I'm going to leave that there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the pocket clip there. I think it's pretty safe. This is the partial serrate, so you can see the X on that one. And same thing here, you can see where it smeared it. So I'm going to do the same thing here on the pocket clip. I'll just do a little X right there, so you guys can see that we remarked them again. I don't know where else to put it. We'll come up with that in just a minute. Now, this is the part that I hate doing. You should never pry with your knife. It is not good on any knife, regardless of how thick the blade is, because the Scarab blade is one of the thickest that we manufacture. You're still bringing this down to a taper point. And so anytime you're trying to do prying, this is one I did from a previous test, not with these knives many years ago, but I still just keep the stuff in here. But if you put something in here and you twist like this, there's a good chance you are going to break the tip on your knife. So we don't recommend any type of prying. This always makes a mess in my office too. You know, if I bury this thing really, really deep into this and I pry on it, then of course it's going to snap the blade. I mean, it's just the nature of what you're doing. So I don't recommend pry tests at all, especially when you're dealing with high quality steel that could be brittle, not something that's soft, that's really hard to retain an edge on. It's always a trade-off, always a trade-off. So, like I said, I'm just trying to bore a hole into this like this. I don't know if I'm going to go all the way through, but basically I'm prying with this Scarab II. You can see how the chips are just making a mess in here. All of these knives use the Bowler M390 MK. We haven't changed any of that, but just to let you guys know. And this is like a boring part of the test, but you know, I think that's good enough to show you guys a pry test on this. So that's clean, no wood, we're good there. And we'll just kind of finish it off with this. Since we have two knives, why not? We'll just share the duty. Like I said, I don't recommend doing this ever with your knife. You know what? I'm going to stop right here just to show you guys something so nobody says anything. Let's go ahead and check the condition of these tips. You guys can see that we still have the tips on these. No broken tips. Although it is very, very possible to snap the tip off, you can reshape the blade once that happens. But like I said, you shouldn't be prying anyway with your knife. Still working. So like we said, you really shouldn't use your knife as a pry tool. Now, some work got in the way here, but these are the same knives, guys. Like I said, the markings are starting to smear on these, but we showed you the tips and everything. But I think one of the coolest ones is being able to chop a penny. And remember, we're still going to check this for sharpness and all that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 pennies. I've done this before in other videos, and you guys have seen it. And then I think one of the things that we could do is basically when we chop the pennies, we could put those in with the kits as well. So all I'm going to do is, this is the plain edge. Let's do the back side on this one so I can keep them separate. It's going to look the same. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it right here on the top of the shield, and hopefully it don't hit the camera with this. Actually, let me rotate to here. And what I want to do is just hit it with this and split the penny, hopefully. Here we go. All right, so I got 1/2. I don't know where the other half went. Let me go ahead and grab it. So that's 1/2 of the penny. The other one went flying. We'll have to find that, but you guys can see that I cut it right there on the seam line. So I'm going to make sure that the right penny goes with the correct knife. All right, so I did have to reset the blade there. And then let's do it again on this one. Oh, you know what? Might have found it. I believe this is it. Shouldn't be any other ones. There we go. Look at that. All right, so now on this one, so that we can tell the difference, this is the partial serrated one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to split this one across the 1 cent here, like that. And here we go. Let me turn it so it doesn't hit the camera lens. Right here on the 1 cent, and boom. It's going into the table. Okay, I think the blade still looks good. All right, let's try it again. Let me just do a swift blow. Yeah, it's sinking it into the table for some reason. And it's actually, when you hit on the top of that, I notice it's making the knife, if you're batoning like that, maybe this is a really hard penny. Here we go. All right, this must be a tough penny because it's not wanting to go. My table's bending. But that's that. Either way, you get the penny. You know what? I am not going to be defeated. Put on the edge of the table here. Try to get the same spot. I think my table's too soft. Guys, look at that. Holy crud. Never had an issue with a penny like that. Oh well, tough penny. I've been beaten. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe this got a different content. I don't know what to tell you on that one. The uncuttable penny. It is what it is. That's the test, guys. So unfortunately, we didn't split the penny. It's got me wondering how dull these knives might be. And guys, we have not touched them up. You can see that's the original edge. We're not going to see any type of polish or anything else. They have not left my possession. Okay. All right, so let's see. Let's check this one first. Just regular printer paper. Maybe it's still sharp enough. Here we go. Oh yeah, we're still good. And you guys have seen the test. A little bit dull on the end. And let me do this one. This is the one we were just hitting with the penny. Let's see if I can do it on the edge part. Yeah, so this thing's plenty sharp enough, guys. And let me try it on the serration. Yeah, so still plenty. I don't know what's going on. Just a tough penny, I guess. Yeah, that's sharp. So yeah, we're gonna keep going on with the test. I don't know why. I'm not gonna keep pounding that penny like that because that's crazy. I've never had one do that before. Usually able to split it. I don't know, maybe that got pressed a little harder. Either way, whoever buys the partial serrated gets that penny, and then the other one goes with the other knife. All right, let's do an abrasion test. You guys have asked for it. I don't know the best way to do it. Either slide it across the floor, or I even thought maybe I take the forklift and I turn those rear wheels, because then that could sit there and rotate it like that. I'm not sure, but let's go ahead and try that and see what happens. Let's go ahead and take a look at both of the knives before we get started. Remember, this one was a little bit worse for wear than the other one. The part serrated had a lot more wear on the front side here, and the plain edge did not. You can see what's left of the markings when we started and what's left of the X down here as well as here. That was just from getting them in the water and getting all that off. So there's that. You see that one? That. You see everything's the same. What we're going to do is I'm just going to, for an abrasion test, I'm just going to slide it across the floor here. I'm not going to slide them towards the machines, and I don't know if it'll catch a edge, but so what if it does? I'm going to lay it on the screw side down, and you know what? Let me start it right here, because it's going to catch that lip. So coming towards the cameraman, here we go. And man, I hit the cameraman, that was perfect. All right. Next one, let's see if I can hit him again. Here we go. Oh yeah, money. All right, now we'll do this clip side. Maybe we'll get some bouncing. I don't even want to pick them up yet. So, clip side, serrated first. And cameraman again. Geez, I need to play soccer. And the other knife, perfect. It's like bowling for dollars. So, almost done. I want to do one more because, things can go sliding. We're going to check out my bowling form on this. All right, so right towards the cameraman. Maybe we'll get some bouncing, maybe not. I need to stick with kicking. And out the door, we're giving away free knives. Here we go, one more. And that was more towards the cameraman. All right, let's pick them up, see if we can get them to actuate. Here we go. That is the plain edge. Let's keep us in camera here. And we're gonna go to the part serrate. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to this pavement right here. You guys can see how bad that pavement is instead of the smooth concrete floor. And I will kick them this way. So let's go out the door. All right, we're gonna do the same test outside on the pavement. And this is not gonna grab well. So here we go. Oh yeah, it's just sticking. All right, so I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna kick it. Ooh, that sounds bad. All right, ready? And again. That's all right. Man, I hate to do that to these Scarab IIs. These are such nice knives. I'm gonna pick them straight up. I'm gonna walk right over to the camera. And look at that. They are getting a little bit worse for wear, but that's what you guys wanted to see. And let's see here. See the concrete wall? Oh yeah, it's like playing quarters, right? The other one wins. I'll bring them to you. I'm gonna pick them straight up, straight over. This one's gonna need to be reset, and they're both good. So far, so good. So good so far. Guys, they are built and well built. I'm getting wet. Let me go up into the building. So we had a slight rain delay, but you guys got to see these up close. See, there's the same knives. You can see what's left of that X mark on that one. You've got it on this one, and the same blade. You still got that gold there, and then what's left of my R there. One of the hardest things to do for a knife is cardboard. I just saw there was some cardboard here, and so it's not that it's hard on the knife, it really kills the edge on them. And what I plan on doing is at the end of this, we're just going to go back over the sharpness tester, but basically that's 4 layers of cardboard, because we're going to take this box, we're going to fold it like this, and then what I'll do is I'll take the plain edge and I am just going to cut down this. Oh man, that's tough. Okay, hold on. There's that. And then now we've got the partial serrated. All right, here we go. Wow, that's so tough. Make sure I'm not going to cut my leg or anything. All right, don't want to suck up any of the cardboard. And that's it. Look how much that was going through, guys, with 4 layers. And this is the thick cardboard. This isn't the thin one. I mean, if you look at something like this, it's very thin as opposed to what the weight is of this. Maybe I can find the weight on this, of what this cardboard is. This is a burst test 200 pounds per 50 inches. So you guys can see these numbers here. So it's not like your normal thin boxes. This is what we actually use for shipping. So until I come up with another idea, that's what we've got so far. I think we need to go ahead and test it on the edge tester. Let's see what kind of numbers we get with these same edges. We have not sharpened them at all. The only thing that we did do is we did add some oil. I told you guys about that, and that was right before we did the test in my office. And then the only other thing we've had to do is reset it a couple times. Like I said, when it jars, sometimes that lock, there's enough force to make it just come out, but it's not going to spring out. But so far, no issues. So we've got up. Let's see if we can do down. This is the tough test because it's trying to retract the blade back up. But so far, so good. One thing I did want to clarify for you guys is cutting cardboard that is that thick straight down is actually the hardest cut, okay? It's actually not difficult. Now this is the same exact box, same everything, because we did a straight down cut on it. But if you actually take the knife and instead of cutting it like this and you angle it, it will cut a lot easier. So let's just try it this way. I'm going to do this so it goes to the wider edge. But if we do it sideways like this, the way corrugation works, it just makes it a lot easier. See how we cut it on an angle? Let's do it with the other one. So this will be a trick that you guys learn about cutting cardboard, is on an angle is not kind of against the grain, and so you can just barely push on it and get it to cut. So anytime you see somebody kind of cheated off to the side, that's what they're doing. They're trying to make it easier to cut. That's it. So we're back in the office here where we started, and you know the old saying of this hurts me worse than it hurts you. It is a shame to do that to these Scarab IIs, but you guys did want to see it, and I wanted to see how they would do as well. Now, neither of the knives had been touched up, sharpened, stropped, or anything since the beginning of the test, and we will be going through and completely resurfacing these. It will be the same blades. We'll resharpen them, and we'll check and inspect all the internals. Now the externals, it is what it is. These will end up on the website, probably get Tony to sign one, I'll sign it, and we'll just leave whatever marks left on here from here. So let's go ahead and check the edge and see where we end up. We want to be about 400 or under. If we're over 400, it needs to be sharpened, and I think we all know that they're going to need to be sharpened. So the plain edge first, and I'm just going to do it right here in the middle, and here we go. Nice and slow. 40, 50, 60, we're at 100, we're at 200, we're at 300, we're at 429. So 429, it's where I expected it to be. Basically, it is edges in need of maintenance or repair. So that goes without saying. Let me go ahead and get one for the partial serrated. Okay, so we have that in here. It's locked down. We're zeroed out. This is the partial serrated blade. All right, and here we go. So we're at 13, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100, 200, 300, 406. So yeah, they definitely need to be touched up, but they are actually still decently sharp. I am going to get a piece of paper just to show you they're probably still sharp enough to cut paper, but either way, like I said, I've enjoyed this. Guys, your knife would be covered under normal warranty, for lifetime warranty, but it's not going to cover misuse or damage like what we did right now. This is something that we cannot fix. You're not going to be able to get these recoated. I mean, you might be able to Cerakote it, but as far as the mil-spec hard coat, that's something that it is what it is. And buying another body for this is not going to be cost effective. Everything stayed intact. We have the pocket clips, the buttons are in okay shape, we have the glass break still in shape, and the openings actually protected themselves very well. So no issues with either of the Scarab IIs. We hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like torture tests like this, I think we'll want to be able to do some of the other models that we have that we offer on the line. Give us some suggestions down below in the comments. Let us know what you'd like to see, some things that are different that might be more practical. And otherwise, I just hope you guys follow us on our YouTube channel as well as on social media. Guys, stay tuned to us. We'll see you on the next one.